Welcome back to another F1 Clash video. This time, we're not doing season change. We're doing a very particular segment, upcoming much-awaited feature, legendary drivers. And welcome back, Andres and Jim. So I guess legendary drivers. We had it in the 2023 season. We had, off the top of my head, 8 legendary drivers. And so I guess we've got some changes coming up with 2024, and we're here to talk about it. So first off, 2023, we saw the introduction of legendary drivers. What did we see?
Yeah, 2023, huge moment in November, bringing legendary drivers to the game alongside collection milestones, giving players the opportunity to chase some of the world's greatest drivers from history was really important to us, and having those relationships with the drivers and drivers' estates was brilliant. But whilst we saw many players engaging with it and getting the chance to leverage these drivers, not as many as we'd liked. We put those drivers out there, having the opportunity to engage in that nostalgia is really important. And we want more players to engage with more drivers this year. So whilst we're going to be bringing more drivers, we also want you to have access to them earlier, more often. So that's going to be a really important takeaway from us from 23 coming to this year.
2023, we had 8 legendary drivers. Going into 2024, we're bringing those original 8 over, and we're adding a further 7. Andres, can you tell us any more about who they might be?
Yes, so there's going to be Mark Webber, Berger, Damon Hill, Graham Hill, Jenson Button, Gilles Villeneuve, and the most exciting one is Ayrton Senna. So we are super excited to see him in the grid, and we really hope that in the future we can get even more drivers from the Hall of Fame of F1.
We had a huge amount of requests for Ayrton Senna to be added, so hopefully they're happy with that addition.
Oh yeah, we hope so.
Previously, we had collection milestones, which was actually part of the whole legendary drivers as well. That was the only way for players to unlock them. We're expanding that, and I guess in a few different ways. Can we get some information on it?
Yeah, for sure. So as you mentioned, collection milestones were the only way players could get hold of legendary drivers last year. And as we talked about from 23, it meant that not everyone could get hold of them. It took a long time to invest. If you came in later in the season, it was really difficult for you to get some of those top tier drivers, which is a real shame. So for this year, they will remain in collection milestones. So everybody just from playing the game will have the opportunity to earn those legendary drivers, which is great, but we're also going to be bringing them through the crate system as well. So that means that players will be able to get hold of them earlier. They'll be able to get hold of them hopefully throughout the season for free as well, with less of that grind, which means that more players will get to engage with more of those legendary drivers, and that's really, really exciting for us. With that change comes another change to how they work. Being able to put them in players' hands earlier means we need to work out how to manage their power. And previously, because they were in fixed points in the progression, it meant that they felt really powerful when you picked them up, but they quickly went out of favor as you invested in your other drivers and upgraded other parts of the game. We wanted that to change and make them feel like you could put an investment in the drivers that you loved from history. So when you collect those drivers, they may or may not be really powerful for you right now, but you can choose who you want to be powerful and who you want to take through with you in the rest of the game. So they'll be upgradable in the same way that all the other drivers are, but we're also going to be introducing a new way to upgrade them, and that's with a new currency, legacy points. Legacy points allow us to basically upgrade with a different path so that we don't have to have them in direct competition or direct parallel or investment with the other drivers, and we can balance that slightly differently and give the drivers a little bit of an edge in different areas and a weakness in others. So that will lead to a really interesting balancing proposal so that players will have a real kind of strong reason to have X or Y new legendary driver because they feel very different to the other drivers in the game. So lots of different systemic changes, which lead to hopefully a really interesting challenge for players and a reason to chase some of these awesome drivers like your Damon Hills, your Jenson Buttons, and Ayrton Senna.
So with legacy points required to upgrade the legendary drivers, how do players go about acquiring the legacy points?
So legacy points, akin to the legendary drivers themselves, will both appear in general rewards. They'll also appear in the collection milestones too, and they'll appear in crates available from different events and other things throughout the rest of the year as well.
So now we've got 15 legendary drivers, which have possible upgrades. We have legacy points. That's quite a number of legendary drivers for players to acquire and utilize. What makes them special over regular drivers?
So, first of all, they bring all new unique stat distributions. None of them resemble the regular driver stats. And what's special about them, and I think what's a really great improvement, Jim mentioned that they were either broken or broken powerful or completely useless in events and in the general progression. Now legendary drivers will start in the tier a little bit weaker than regular drivers, but if you upgrade them all to the maximum level, they can become a little bit more powerful than their regular peers. It's a difficult challenge to get them to the max level, but it's quite beneficial because you can achieve even higher power levels or team score than with regular drivers. I think added with the unique characteristics and stat distribution, this brings just new strategies and new lives to the meta of this season. And added at this point, I think it makes it even more interesting because up until now, players developed a certain play style and certain strategies. Now it really mixes it up and brings a new life to the game.
So I've got a lot of changes in regards to legendary drivers. How can players use them? Is there any changes to what we saw in the 2023 season?
In terms of the way you access and get to leverage legendary drivers, they're going to function much the same way that they did last season. So being able to use them with events and series content, the same restrictions will apply depending on the driver's power levels. So for the most part, you'll get to use them as you did previously. We'll be doing some changes to the UI. So you'll have their own tab, their own place to live, as we've got many more drivers this season. So a little bit more easier to manage. But from there, it's more about what we want to do with them in the future. So as the season progresses, we want to leverage them more so in events. So those big GP events, having more legendary driver focused ones, and putting drivers on the track as well. So that's something we're really excited about for the future, is that as players come in, go and check out one of those legendary driver GP events, being able to test your might against Senin on track, against Jensen Button, against David Coulthard, all in one space. It's going to be really interesting to see on track. So those are the things that we want to build towards, keep evolving, keep investing, and who knows as well, maybe bringing some more legendary drivers as the season progresses.
Lots to look forward to. Cool. So lots to come with collection milestones and legendary drivers. There's lots of changes. Hopefully very exciting for the players to hear. By the time this video goes out, players will be seeing all the reveals for all the new legendary drivers. And so I guess we'll have a blog post dedicated to this for them to read up more detail, and the release should be coming very shortly after this video as well. So thanks guys for joining and explaining. So yeah, other than that, keep an eye on our social media, join our Discord, and keep enjoying F1 Clash.